What up? What up? What up? Welcome to Feelings Not Included. You know what I'm saying? It's time to get it started on Thursday. We're on a different day, but um, we got some hot topics that we want to address. So I'm uh I'm gonna go ahead and let's let you get it started, bro. You know what I'm saying? You brought some good topics up, man, and I want you to really kind of start off and give us some high level what led you to these topics about lack of accountability in the culture, lack of leadership. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and give me your spiel on it.
Man, so basically, I just being the algorithm has just been showing me a lot of people who, a lot of us who we instead of acknowledging where we can be better about certain things that take place that impact the culture, we a lot of us like to go into the comparisons of other cultures, like of how media treats people of a different hue in terms of when they're criticizing them or holding them accountable. Ironically, they just want to compare and contrast. You know, um, how other people are handled versus how we are handled or how we handle ourselves, instead of just focusing on the matter at hand, like where we can be better,
Right,
where
right,
the
right.
atrocities are. I mean, it doesn't really matter who it is or what it is. It's just, and then that's on a mainstream level. But even on a social level, we just don't like like it goes back to that victim mentality. We would we we just good at being victims, and victims are not good at being accountable.
100%.
And then we talk about, and I think that leads me into like where when I examine what the leadership, because I think any culture that has, or any family or anybody that has strong leaders, they're going to be accountable before anything, right?
100%.
And so I think that's the problem with us. Like why we don't like accountability, because we've not been really we've not been used to being held accountable. We haven't held ourselves accountable. Like we don't hold ourselves accountable as a culture as it relates to our broken home syndrome. We don't hold ourselves accountable even when we look at problems that affect our children, such as poor school systems. We'd rather blame the government, everybody else except for where we can be better in that space.
You said something that stands out because I'm in an interracial relationship and have been so in for decades, for over 3 decades. So I hear people sometimes when you say something about the comparison, well, it is there, but it's only compared when it's negative. If we say, hey, listen, this culture is doing this, oh, well, we not like them. You don't got to compare us to them, which is fucked up when you think about it. Like
Right.
I'm okay with saying don't compare us at all, positive or negative, right? But if you're going to compare us, you got to compare us on all fronts. And you're right. We do this, bro. As I become older, and I always say this shit. When I was young, my grandfather seemed like he hated everybody. I couldn't understand it. But as an older black man, I understand not wanting to put up with bullshit, not wanting to make excuses. I had a discussion. I was watching one of my homies' podcasts yesterday, right? And bro's talking all this. One of the guests was talking all this prison shit. He said, "Man, I robbed several banks, and I got away scot free. My cousin told on me. He's a bitch nigga. Blah blah blah." I'm like, he shouldn't have told on you, bro. But you shouldn't have did that shit. Let's go to the root cause. You didn't go to prison because he told. You went to prison because you robbed a fucking bank
Yeah.
or multiple banks, right?
Yeah.
Like, and nobody was commenting on this shit. I'm like, bro, am I the only one seeing this shit,
No,
right?
you're not the
Um,
only one seeing it.
but we, so he talked about his son going to prison, being sentenced at 19 for 20 years. He's like, my son will be 39 when he get out. So I'm assuming he been 20 years. It could have been 40, do half, right? And the
This and,
next
and this is the same guy that went to prison because his
for,
cousin.
right,
Okay.
he said he went to prison for 7 months, which is a little concerning to me, considering you said you robbed
Yeah.
banks.
So
But
it
that's a different story.
looked like you
Maybe
were.
I caught the wrong part of that. Maybe it was some years in
Uh,
7 months.
his cousin,
Um,
his cousin wasn't the only one telling him.
right. It sounds like it runs in the family.
But yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
but you know the next question after bro talked about, because he said how him and his son, he didn't talk to his son in 6 months because he don't answer the call because dude, and this is all public shit. So I'm not repeating something that is not common. It was public out there. He said something about his son, him sending his son the wrong shit, and the son cussing him out, this, that, and the other. And he's like, man, you know what? Every prison system different. He was in the prison in this system. I'm like, this shit is crazy. Y'all talking about this shit like it's okay. And then the very next question by one of the people on the podcast was, ladies, what could you have done different to prevent your son from going to prison? I'm like, we sitting there talking to a dad who went to prison about his son, and you asking the women, ask this motherfucker why his kid went to prison. Because every dude, you're the leader of that family, right? And I'm going to weak leaders. That's where I'm going with this shit, right? I have this discussion with people. I'm like, bro, you're not, just because you have a job, just because you don't break the law, don't make you a strong man.
At all.
It just makes you not a criminal. You can be a really good person and a weak mate. You can be a really good person and a weak father. You can be a really good person and a weak husband, right? Because those things, those characteristics are different. You can be a really bad husband and a great father.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like those things are not, they're not tied together.
Right.
But we struggle, right? We struggle because we need somebody to accept the negative shit. And I don't have it in me no more, bro. You know, I don't, just because you look like me doesn't mean I owe you anything, right? Earn some shit, I'm gonna give you credit. But I'm not gonna say, well, because you look like me, you should be able to get away with this, that, and the other. And we had that discussion on one of the episodes before when I was like, this chick was like, how can you be hard on her? She's a black woman. Like, bro, she neglected her child. She assaulted the, you know what I'm saying, the father of her son in front of her son. Like, that's not, I don't care if she's black, right? Like, we have an issue of accountability. We have an issue of weak leadership. The accountability is the biggest part, right? I'm guilty. I was in the streets, right? And I heard people, man, they give you too much time for crack versus cocaine. Like, you don't got to sell neither one of them motherfuckers, bro. This is the choice, right? Yes, the system is fucked up. My father told me at a young age, hey, life ain't fair for you. This is the reality. I'm not telling you that you have to do that. I'm making you aware of what is the reality. Don't think because person A who doesn't look like you does this and gets away with it that you're going to do it too. System ain't going to treat you the same. I'm not telling you to behave differently. I'm making you aware of reality.
Yeah.
Understand the consequences of your actions.
Yeah.
We don't want consequences of our actions, right? And I feel bad because I feel like I'm always harping on my people, bro. But every time, you know, I wanted to bring the video in and I didn't get a chance to do it. It was a Mexican cat I was watching on TikTok. I was at the gym yesterday. Bro said, my black friends keep asking me, is it safe in Mexico? He said, have you been outside, bro? Right? Y'all not safe in your own neighborhood. Right? He said, Mexico, there's no sundown towns in Mexico. Right? He said, there's no, you know, you're not going to get stopped by the police in Mexico because you don't look like you fit in this neighborhood. He just went down to all the list of the shit that we really deal with on a day-to-day here. A lot of his shit is self-inflicted as well.
Yeah.
And he went down, he said, man, y'all got to stop asking, are you safe in Mexico? And start asking, why do you think you're safe in the United States? Right? And that shit made me think, bro. And I'm like, man, I've been to more funerals and weddings, more funerals and graduations, more funerals than anything else. And every violent funeral I've ever been to of a black man was at the hands of another black man.
Wow.
Right? I'm sure somebody has a different experience, but that's my experience. Right? And I'm going to keep it all the way real. That's the majority of the experience of the people I know. Okay. Right? And I'm not saying my circle is small and this is the case, but I'm just saying, and I'm sure the same is true of white folks, right? For the people they know that died in violence. But when I look at the situation, I'm like, man, we have way too many issues to be focused on somebody else right now. I said in one of our very first episodes, I miss when racism was our biggest problem. I'm old enough to remember that, bro. Right? When racism was the biggest thing holding us back. Motherfuckers ain't got to do nothing no more. The plan, whatever it was, is working.
Yeah, I don't even know. I think when I spoke on that, I don't even know when I think about it now if racism, like I don't even know how real this shit really. I mean, is it just a place that where we can all go to just be?
So, racism is real in the aspect of. I'll give you an example. I had and I'm sure I told the story before, so I'm gonna skip it and scale it that way down. I got pulled over in Michigan. I had an expired license, not suspended, not invalid, just expired. At this point in time, I was traveling 5-6 months a year outside the United States. My passport was my ID, right? Long story short, I had to go to court. No big deal. I go to court, right? I talk to the judge. I'm like, hey, Your Honor, I want a lawyer. I'll never do it again. Your Honor, can I approach the bench? Want to explain to you why my license is expired. I get my passport. I'm like, it's literally every single page is stamped multiple times. I'm rarely in the United States. Right, he said, okay, I got something for you, man. I'll help you out so you don't get any points on your license. Good looking out. Right, the court clerk take me to go sign the paperwork, whatever. She started crying. She's like, don't sign this shit. Like, what you mean? She said, if you sign this, you agree into a misdemeanor, which is a crime. Won't put no points on your license, but it'll stop you from traveling to half the countries you've been to. That's racism, bro. That's a motherfucker trying to stop me who's doing right simply because there was no other reason. I looked at all the other possibilities, right, before I even came to that conclusion. But the young white chick was like, man, he's only doing that because you're black. You don't have a criminal history. He's trying to give you one. So racism, in a certain extent, is real, right? People are racist. Let me say that. There's no question about it. I've been in a racial relationship for a long fucking time.
But I think everybody is racist in that way. I believe systemic oppression is real.
Okay,
But
so we probably play. It's probably wordplay. When I say racism, I'm referring to systemic oppression because I can go to the trailer park, bro, and it can be a bunch of motherfuckers don't like me, and it doesn't matter.
right. So
Right.
what I mean is this: if when I was when I was in a courtroom in this predominantly white county, you know, and I'm watching these poor Caucasian people go before this judge, and he's knocking them over the head just the same way, right? And I looked at that like, some of the stuff, I'm like, I can understand some of these people, but I mean, some of them was just like, I could just tell, babe, how you, just by what your energy is, you already got, it's like you meeting a quota. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, that's systemic oppression. And I believe that a lot of times it is based on prejudiceness and it is based on race. That's the easiest way to go because that's the program that the United States is on, right? But
No doubt.
I believe that if there were no so-called black people around, then it would be another group that would oppress another group, right? We have this, right?
Always, 100%.
And the easiest way to do it is to say, race. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to by no means am I going to dismiss anybody's experiences that was based on their position in society, or i.e. their ethnic characteristics. I'm not going to dismiss that. What I'm saying is that if it's as real as we like to say it is, then at what point are we going to say, okay, we got to do something to make it clear that we not with it, right? And
You cannot be a victim. You cannot be a victim. You can't be special and equal at the same time. Let me put it that way. You
Yeah,
have to pick one.
and I don't
We want to be special,
right, because I don't think anybody's equal, really, right?
but wanting to be,
Right,
right?
but
We don't even want to be.
you can demand your respect. You know what I mean? I watch Hispanic cultures do it all the time, right? They have they've had these days where it was just a reminder to people that we are going to demand our
Bro,
respect as a race, right? And they'll literally call it a day without Hispanics, right?
bro, have you seen the movie? Excuse me for interrupting. It's a movie called A Day Without Mexicans. That shit is crazy. You watch that, it's a cheap ass movie, bro.
But
when
they
you watch
do it though.
you realize like, damn, this is where they at. If they stop doing, I worked in Elkhart back in I think it was 05, 06, right? They was like, y'all trying to do these police raids. They all said we ain't coming to work for 3 days, bro. Them factories didn't do shit, right? We worried about this what they call it, the longshoremen strike and shit. Bro, when them Mexicans, when them cats that come over here from Mexico and other places, when they decide not to show up, America stops. Right? There's
Yeah.
no automation for them right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And you know what? Most groups of people will do that. It's like it's
We don't.
automatic. It's right. And so I'm saying that now people will be. This is what I mean by lack of accountability. When we start addressing stuff like this, I can guarantee you most of us are going to go right to where there's a reason why we're like that, and they're going to go right. They're going to pivot to racism, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a reason for every. Let's just say it's all true. It's all real. So are we going to just stay there? Then,
So let me tell you how I address it. Because I have a homie that's like, oh man, well, racism is this. And I'm like, bro, I'm not saying it's not real. I would never say that. But here's the deal. You don't sell drugs. You ain't shot a motherfucker. You ain't robbing nobody. Why don't you do that? Right? If we don't have a choice, we all should be doing it. We have a choice.
That's what I mean when it's too many of. See, at a certain point, when I was a kid, I was younger, I was more impressionable.
It made sense.
I mean, of course, yeah, you tell me that. That's what I'm gonna buy into, right? But I've lived long enough, and I'm like, it's tons of us that do well for ourselves.
Bro,
Tons
I'm
of,
around a bunch of them every day.
right? So I'm like, I just don't, and then you know what else I realized? is most of those people don't even concern themselves with, they're in a whole nother bubble.
It's the reality of this is the world I live in. I got to deal with the world I live in, right? At the end of the day, everybody functions on greed, right? That's what matters. Money. You can be the darkest motherfucker on earth. If you spending enough money with the right people, they're gonna love you.
Right.
They don't really love you, they love your money.
Okay.
Right? You can be bright white. If you have no money, they don't give a fuck about you.
Right. And you know what? Money, and then we'll talk about, like, let's even talk about that for a minute. We spend the most money. We spend more money than anybody in this country.
And we own the least amount of shit.
And you see what I'm saying? So I'm like, it's not about money. It's really about our behavior.
We want to look financially stable long before we are. Right? I've met a lot of millionaires in my life. Right? I've never met one that looked rich as the cats I see in the hood. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna keep it real. I've been around people with homes that I could put my house in their garage, right? They just regular cats, right? They might have a nice vehicle, might have a nice whip, right? Something higher end, right? But I don't know the brands, so I can't say the shit is cheap because I can't speak to it.
Right.
But they don't walk around looking like $1 million.
But you know what I found out about? Because I always thought it was about, you just that rich, and so you wanna look the part. But then you know what I found out about people that are truly rich? Those homes are more investments than anything. If you got all that money, it has to go somewhere. It's going to go to the government.
Right. I mean, you can't live in a spot where you look like a target. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
And then their homes are set up like businesses. They run like business. They have people that manage those homes on payroll. It's a business, right? So that's what I've learned. And so it's like, but that's not what we do as a culture. Some of us do. I'm not saying all of us.
Right. Well, we're speaking generally, right? Obviously, there's exceptions to every rule, right? I mean, that's the reality.
It's enough of us that are just well off. Period. I mean, it's just too many of us, and so that's what I mean when I say, I do use the words race. Racism, isn't real at times. But I realize I have to add context to that because I'm just a person that try to use the least amount of words to get my point across. Because to me, what's real is it's whatever you create, you allow to be the reality in your mind.
Right, right.
And all I know is that, like I've said this before, like it really shouldn't. It only matters to me if I let it. Right. It only matters to me if I have a negative interaction with a person that's not of a similar hue, and their motivation. I would never know their motivation unless they make it very clear, right? But if they don't, their motivation could be racial or could not be.
But they don't fuck with you.
Right. It's only gonna matter if I let it. To me, what's supposed to matter is no, as an individual, I demand my respect. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I don't buy into the black on black crime thing. You know what I mean? Like crime is crime. Because I know that if you look at ethnicity, then every race has afflicted or offended every other race, and
That's
even
reality
within themselves, because mostly it's about proximity, mostly, right?
Right. No, I'm with you, right? I mean, if you are of a certain hue, most of your neighbors typically look like that.
Right.
Right.
So then
the exception is when you move out away from people that look like you. I mean,
right.
That's just reality.
Yeah. So then when I mean by, let's go back to accountability and weak leadership. If we allow, and when I say we, I'm saying so-called black men, if we continue to allow ourselves, our women, our children to depend on media to get their information about themselves from media that is not reflective of who we are, then that's our fault, right? You know what I mean? Like
100%.
It's like quit getting your perception of who you are from people who don't look like you, especially if you saying it's about racism, right?
Bro, I have this conversation. I'm like, matter of fact, I had a motherfucker argue with me just a couple of days ago, man. Because I'm like, bro, that shit you hear, like, all jokes aside, I'm like, the shit you listen to on podcasts ain't real. It's entertainment. You got a motherfucking podcast. I said, bro, don't take a relationship advice from me on my podcast. It's general. Whatever I say is general. Don't necessarily apply to you. If somebody's going to give you some advice, right, they sitting down with you to understand who you are and what your situation is. So what you're saying is, I said, bro, what I'm saying is entertainment is only reality to us, right? And I go back to 1984, goddamn it, when the Terminator came out, and he went in the police station and shot all them fucking police. No white boys went and shot up a bunch of police at the police station, right? But every time we have a hot movie come out, Boys in the Hood, you know what I'm saying, Menace to Society, motherfuckers try to recreate that shit. They want to live like that. I'm like, we allow other people to influence, and this, I am putting this on black men. Because if you influence me, I'm going to influence my children. That is my responsibility.
Right.
To guide my children, right? I think so that I put on us. And I have this conversation with people like, well, you can't blame it. I'm like, I can't blame everything on. I'm not putting everything on us. What I'm saying is we are supposed to be the leaders. If you are not a leader, do not create children. Right? Don't create children for the rest of the world to dictate.
Man, just don't, right, man. You know what? That's crazy how much sense that makes to me now. I guess I never understood it because it just wasn't me. Like I consider myself to be a leader, right? But yeah, you're right. A lot of us shouldn't have never made children, and a lot of us shouldn't make children moving forward.
I mean, even right, like, bro, it's motherfuckers. I had a conversation with a cat earlier, right? And we're having this conversation, and he's telling me about how hard it is for to get a good woman in South Bend and this and the other. I'm like, bro, listen. If you're a winner, you're a winner wherever you play at. It don't fucking matter. If you can't win here in this simple, easy ass town, you're not a winner, bro. It don't matter about all the extra shit, right? I mean, this is it respectfully, because I don't give a fuck. So I'm gonna say respectfully, as I say, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, bro, you live with a woman, you're paying half the bills, y'all not together, she's smashing other dudes. I don't want to hear your story, right? That's not strong man shit. Granted, y'all was together, shit went south. You felt like you were financially obligated. Here's what a strong man would do. If me and my girl were on a lease together, or a mortgage, or whatever the fucking case may be, and the shit went south, I'm doing what's necessary to get out of that lease or get out of that mortgage. Mm-hmm. Me staying to fulfill the financial obligation is crazy when I can fulfill that shit while not being there, right? So we're going down this fucking debate, but I'm like, bro, yes, I agree with you. They're not a bunch of good women because you don't qualify for them, right? That's like, you're not around them because you're not their type, right? I said, you have had no shortage of women, none. My guy has had no shortage of women, but you ain't had a good one yet. That's a common denominator scenario.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying all chicks is good chicks. What I'm saying is you are a magnet for the wrong chicks. You have picked multiple women with no children. You know how hard that is in today's world? But I can count. I'm gonna go with at least 8 that I know of that he's dated with no kids in the last 5 to 7 years. Fucking unheard of, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I done told bro, you found every chick without a baby, right? Can't make one. All of them got men now. Half of them married, right? You still going through the shit, right? And so the conversation hit me earlier, and this is me because I'm too old, bro. I can't deal with this shit no more. He sent me this video. Oh man, men have no matter how old a man gets, he has options. I said, well, send me your options, bro. Well, this ain't about me and you. I said, no, I'm just telling you, this shit you see on this internet shit ain't real.
What does that mean? What does he mean by that when he says?
Because there's this belief that as long as you're a man, no matter how old you get, you got options. I'm like, nah, bro. If you are 65 and 25-year-old chicks want to fuck with you, you're not the option. The financial situation is.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're a man with resources, you're going to always have options.
But do you have options, or your resources have options? Because the moment you lose those, right? We'll go back. We'll check Leonardo DiCaprio. They always like to bring him up. Well, he don't fuck with nothing over 25 because he's a millionaire, bro.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
if he was, I don't know, John Smith that worked at Walmart, that shit don't roll the same. It's not him. It's the resources. But I try to explain to my guy. I'm like, well, show me your options. Or this ain't about me. I'm like, you an older man, right? Like, where the fuck is your options? You don't have them because that shit's not real for you. You know what I'm saying? And I think when we don't have a strong male figure in our life, we do dumb shit.
Yeah.
And we justify the dumb shit.
Yeah.
Right? I'm all for holding people accountable. Right? And I'm typically more generous toward women than men because I feel like men are leaders and shit like that. But the same cast that'll post, ain't no good women, she fucked up this, will get on and I'm like, bro, okay, if there's no good women and they made bad choices, why are you not choosing better? You got your own choices to make. As a man, You should know within a short amount of time if a woman ain't shit, right? And to a certain extent, some women can hide it if you don't know them at all. But how long does it take you to figure out she's not a good woman? And how many times you have to go through that shit before you say, okay, whatever I'm doing is not right. Go to the accountability part.
Yeah, but if you, well, the accountability is we put kids in them. You know what I mean? Like,
Man,
once you put a kid in them, then I mean that's to me that's the biggest cosign, right? You saying that she's a worthy, even if you say I thought she was, then you got a problem with how you vet women. Then you know what I mean? Like you have
so
a problem with how you
yeah,
judge how you carry in your situation or how you move in your situation because it's certain. And I'm guilty of that. You know what I mean? I wasn't a strong man. I wasn't being the strong man that I'm poised to be my entire life. You know, at certain points in my life. You know, and I know that I tell people all the time. Had my dad done his job, I know me. I would have made better decisions.
right.
Wouldn't have been perfect by no means, but I would have made better
I
decisions.
mean,
It's just
right.
certain things you got to understand. Like, and that's I'm saying that if you as a man or as a young boy or a young man outside of getting hooked up, getting caught up in drugs, doing blatant illegal shit, and
Right.
putting the baby in the wrong woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't too much you can't come back from.
Man, you got to make a series of bad fucking decisions, bro, to not be able to come back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, if you, it's not, it's really hard to fuck up when you look at it in the way that we talking about. It's hard to fuck. Like it's a lot of intent in the things that we're talking about, like the fuck ups. That's like, hey, this your life is different forever, right? Like because most innocent, when I say innocent crimes, I mean I'm just things that
Minor
happen.
shit.
Yeah,
Nobody's
minor.
really hurt by the crime.
Yeah, like, but I'm saying like those things that get you a lot of time. Now I understand. Now, there are those situations where they're extremely unfortunate based on constructs like systemic oppression, right? I understand those, but I'm saying that's not the majority of what we're dealing with right now. We're we're,
Not at
we're
all.
dealing with people are intentionally creating babies. They're intentionally living in this world of drugs, right? They're intentionally creating music and media that promotes it and glorifies it. We're intentionally, as a culture, ignoring it. Like there's a lot of intent and that goes into why we in the space that we are as a culture. And I think that our children are suffering from it just like we suffer from our parents' lack of just not being strong units. And that goes at this weak leadership because strong men do not allow their children, even like their sons, to think that making it is being either an entertainer or an athlete. I don't think strong men are going to allow their children or let their sons specifically to be prostituted through a culture without anything guaranteed in return. They're not going to allow them to put all their eggs in one basket. Of course, aspire towards your dreams, right?
Right,
But
right.
but what I'm talking about is your dream should be bigger than just these two things. You know what I mean? Like you should just like you should dream to be you can dream to be a athlete or an entertainer. You should also create dreams of or the ideas of having dreams to be engineers, scientists.
Right. And, and
You
and
know,
what next? Right? Because you're not
yeah,
NFL is great. NBA is great, but that's a 8 year if you stay a long time. Right?
yeah, and
What do
it's,
you
it's
bro,
but you know what you got to go through. Like you know what, like
your
it's
body's gonna be fucked up later, bro.
it's a lot. It's a lot of even outside of your body, even your psyche, when it comes to what you have to go through to get to the point. Because they're looking at people like LeBron James, and they're looking at them type of high. They're not looking at the average NBA player that
Right,
really
right.
has to struggle to get a spot and to get paid decently. They're not looking at that, and
Right. I
that's
mean,
that's the reality of the shit.
I think the and it's not bad money. Let me clarify. I think the lowest end of the NBA is like 400 grand a year. Right? Let's say you do that. That's cool. But 10 years later, you kind of out the game, right? You weren't a star. You was at the lower level. What do you do next? You've made $4 million over 10 years. Great money. You've given up about $2 million in taxes because that's the reality of the fucking country we live in, right? What is your plan? If you didn't learn a skill, you in a tough position.
But that's what I mean when I'm so 400,000
You
is
can make that shit at a
is
job,
good.
bro. I mean, not a job. But some jobs pay that. You can be a business owner and make more.
But I'm saying but 400,000, the base, like when you look at the archetype of what the average so-called black male athlete, like the scope of their mindset and where they come from. Most of them come from poverty, right? A lot of them do. They don't have the skills that a properly nurtured child would have
No doubt.
to manage 400,000. So 400,000, the things they value, that's not enough money. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
And
for what we
that's fucked
value.
up, bro. Like we have to figure out what is it about our culture, bro. This is kind of fucked up, but I'm gonna say I have a nephew married to a white chick, right? She calls me for advice all the time, right? Both of them love them to death. Let me clarify. And she hit me up, and she's like, "Oh, that's what she called me on." She said, "Can I ask you something?" Like, yeah, you can ask me anything. Like we'd had serious ass conversations. She's like, "Man, I'm confused on something." Right? She's like, we struggling to get by. Right? They have good jobs, but you know what I'm saying? Reality is reality. Shit's tough. She said, my mother-in-law is asking for money to help her, get a place. And they said, I never seen where I'm from, parents help their children. Right? And bro, that one, I ain't had no motherfucking she thought I hung up. She's like, you still there? I'm like, damn. I don't even know how to respond to that. Right? I don't disagree with what she's saying.
Yeah.
Right? We got a comment. I don't want to leave Robin out. Oh, she on the
What's
expired license.
what did she say?
She talking about the expired license and invalid license, right? I'm still me. Right? Expired license means I didn't pay the government. Nothing else has changed.
Man, I really want to know what Robin's angle with that is. Dog. I mean,
to bring the comment back up, I mean, she is right. It's not a crime, it's a driving infraction.
But what's her
Let's
angle?
clarify.
What's her
I mean,
angle?
the angle is he had a legitimate I'm guessing. The angle is he had a legitimate reason to stop me, which is the truth. I didn't even argue that shit, bro. Right? I never once. I'm like, hey, listen, here's who I am. I got speeding tickets and the police like, man, you've been speeding. I'm like, I go to court because the court costs included. And the judge's like, were you speeding? I'm like, man, he got me. He's like, why are you here? I said, because it costs me the same if I'm not. Right? I'm hoping you want to be lenient. But when I get pulled over and they say I'm speeding, I'm not, I'm also back in court. I remember getting a ticket, and motherfucking judge is like, man, you hearing a lot. I'm like, this time I didn't do shit. I didn't say it like that. I'm respectful.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, listen, I got pulled over. Dude said I was speeding. I asked him to show me the radar gun because he gave me a number. And he said no. He felt uncomfortable with me going to his car. I informed him I have no firearms. You do. You know what I'm saying? How are you uncomfortable? He refused to show me. Judge wiped the shit. Was like, nah. So it's done. Right? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Right? That's what I'm saying. Right?
I know she's not wrong. I'm just saying.
I mean, I don't know. Right? But to take that and try to change it into something else is where the problem lives. Right? And bro, I'm by far not the best person to be with if you get pulled over. So keep it real. Because I respect people who earn respect. And I've probably been pulled over more than most. I've been pulled over more than most people have in their entire lifetime. I've been pulled over. I'm well over 40 times. Right? I'm well over 40.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm already slightly argumentative. I also understand my rights, but I'm not stupid. If you pull me over on a dark road, I'm a hell of a lot different than if you pull me over at 2 p.m. at the corner of Lincoln Way and Olive or something where, you know what I'm saying? I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
But none of that shit matters when somebody try to do some shit to you that's outside of the scope of that. So I don't know. I'm trying to give her credit, but I'm taking it back because I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. I don't know what the hell she's talking about. I don't even know where I was at before she did that shit.
She's 100% right. I was just interested in her angle. Like,
I don't know because it slid kind of late. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But let's get back to accountability, weak leadership, not protecting the youth. Right?
Yeah.
You and I had a slight different view on something recently, where I had posted. I see women talking about women talk about if you ain't doing the stepchild shit, you're not a real man. I flipped it the other way, like from my perspective, if I was a woman, I'd be scared. Or you're not a grown man, I would be scared to bring a man into my house around my children. Right? Even if I was single, I wouldn't bring women around my children. I don't know people's motive. Now, I've got some reasons to justify my thought process, right? But I've also seen enough shit where I'm like this chick posted her daughter today. I'm like, and she tagged her in something. I'm thinking you probably shouldn't have did that, right? You're gonna bring some attention that you don't want because your daughter still lives with you and you're a single woman. And her daughter is, I think, 18, 19, very attractive, right? It's some dudes gonna click on that shit and want to fuck with you, not for you, but for your kid. And I think about all the crazy, weird motherfuckers. But you said something along the lines of should they not put that positive role model in front of their children? And again, I'm weird in that aspect. I think that's your father's role, right?
No,
It is
we
your
agree
father's
there.
role to be your masculine role model.
No, we
Um,
agree there. I think where I guess where I was kind of alluding to was that we just we create this very weird negative image of the male archetype, right? And by that helps by doing that ultimately allows men and fathers to be devalued in this whole dynamic. And then they carry this narrative of women being able to raise children by themselves when that's not even really possible,
it's not doable, right?
right?
And that's why I
And
said that's the father. Like I agree with you. Every child should have a masculine and feminine set of guidelines, right? Or role models, however you want to word that. But I think like I don't know. I have to commend the chicks that I know who was like, hey, shit didn't work out between me and my dude. I'm not dating until my kid's old enough to do X, Y, Z. Right? And I say that because they've realized that the kid didn't ask to be here. Right?
yeah,
That
if
was
you
two parents that created that.
okay, I just have a hard time understanding how a mother, let's just say a mother that can do that, right? If you can have that level of consideration and discipline and consideration, I'm not understanding why you can't be successful in a relationship.
I mean, that takes two people, bro. Like the reality, you can want to do that shit, but if I don't want to do it too, it can't work. Right? Now,
I
I
just,
feel what you're saying.
I
I
just
know,
think
like, the
that goes.
logical shit is like, whatever the fuck it takes, if you're going to be alone, be with this motherfucker. Right? Like, I'm with you. Like, okay, maybe he like other chicks, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you going to be alone. The family can benefit. But
But
he
okay,
has to want to do that too.
this is my thing. This is why I think it goes down the lines of what you were saying. Like, okay, you just because like being your relationship with your mate has little to do with y'all co-parenting, right?
Say okay, so the relationship with the new mate.
No, the relationship with the person you procreate with, y'all relationship, y'all's intimacy it really shouldn't have anything to do.
Okay, I see what okay, so
Y'all
because
already,
y'all not together doesn't mean
y'all already made,
I think I'm saying the same shit, just different way.
but
Like
y'all
the
already made the kid. I'm saying, hey, y'all already made the kid. If you saying, I mean, okay, I don't know what you mean when you say, or what she means when she says that she's not going to date, until the kid is old enough. What I'm saying is, if your child, let's just say he is a son, if he grows up and doesn't see you interacting with even his father healthily, even on any kind of intimate level, he is not going to have he's going to miss out there. You know what I'm saying? Like
okay, I'm with you on that, right?
his perception is that it's off, and we deal with it a lot. His perception is my mom raised me, and it's like that's not actually.
Okay, I'm with you. I understand where you at. I think from my side, I'm looking at it like I want the kid to see that healthy relationship between his mother and his father, right? And I'm not saying like, bro, when again, and I know everybody views shit different. When you have a kid, your ownership of your life ends. You are no longer living for you.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you put what's best for your kid. And I'm gonna say I'm gonna go out on a limb here because I've only known a couple. If you are a woman, you break up with your kid's parent. There's a high probability it's gonna be a rotation before you find the right one. What does that rotating damage do to the little one?
You right. Well,
That's where I say, listen, it's a tough deal to sell, bro. But you should have worked it out. That's the other side.
and working it out doesn't have to look like
Working it out don't mean y'all
what
got to
you want.
live in the same house. Be
Right. I mean,
beautiful.
you need to be, but y'all can sit like honestly, bro. You can get away, or at least when the kid is up to a certain age, right? You can get away with living in separate homes, and your kid don't even realize it.
No, bro,
Easy.
I will agree with you because I have a and we can talk offline about who, but I have a close person in my life whose mother and father divorced early, but they didn't know for a very long time,
Yeah,
right?
like
Because the
my
family unit was what was most important.
and that's all I'm speaking to, right?
But you know today you cannot have that man in the house if she got a new man. Right? Let's just keep
No.
it a buck.
Right. So that's why I'm saying that shouldn't be the option. But when I hear women speak like that, right? When I hear women speak like, even if you say I'm just not gonna date until this, you're saying that to accommodate how you feel about your situation. If you're considering what your kids need, then you need to figure. Okay. Let's stop talking about abuse and neglect like they are not in a lot of ways exceptions, right? We understand
Right,
like
right. That's not the most common shit.
not common. This is it's really be because we can't stomach the idea of being with who we locked ourselves into on irresponsible terms. We can't stomach the
Right,
idea.
right.
Like that's all it is to it.
That's
Because
what it boils down to,
when
no
the
doubt.
baby's born now, the blinders come off, right? And y'all know that in hindsight, y'all wouldn't have been mates, right? So now you want to start to sabotage, y'all each other's relationships by doing the fuck shit. When really, if you had been a responsible, mature leader as a man, you would have handled that way differently. You know what I'm saying? Like
So
it's a
let me ask, because and I know I'm deviating a little bit. Why do you think it is so okay in our culture to have kids before marriage? Like I've literally had the argument with people. Oh yeah, marriage is too big of a commitment. I'm like, bro, I don't know about you. I've been with my wife. I've been with my wife, married to my wife, almost 27 years. I can go downtown and end that shit in a couple days. I'm going to be my kids' parents my entire life,
yeah,
right? And I can decide to be a shit parent. That's on me,
yeah.
right? But like, why do you think it's so almost like it's almost taboo, right? In
Mhm.
our culture to be married before we. I'm listen.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got a homie tell women marry before they carry. I'm like, bro, you had a baby already, right? You can't. You don't. So what is it like, bro? You had a baby with a chick who had a baby. No knocking anything. That's a reality.
hmm
She didn't marry before she carried the first time. She didn't marry before she carried the second time. You don't
yeah,
get to run around saying, hey, women need to marry before they carry, right? Why are you not making sure you're married to the woman before she carries your child? Because that's again, that's my stance is a woman can't get pregnant by you unless you allow it.
yeah,
You won't get to decide if she keep it. So
yeah.
why do you think men or women, whatever side doesn't matter, culture wise, why do you think it's almost celebrated to not be married when you have a baby?
Honestly, I don't think that we don't think much of ourselves.
Is
We
that
don't.
what it is, bro? Because
Yeah, we,
I'm lost. The shit.
we don't. Victims can't. You know what I mean? A
Okay, you're
victim,
right.
a victim can't think much of themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like even in a DV situation, um, whether it's the man or the woman, but let's just say for context and for the conversation's sake, the victim is the woman. 9 times out of 10, she doesn't think much of
Low
herself.
self esteem.
You
Right,
know what
right.
I'm
That's why
saying?
you in that's why you staying. Right. That's part of the game.
Right. So I'm saying just like we don't. That's why we allow ourselves to stay in this space of being victims in terms of the racial constructs because we don't think much of ourselves. Because this is what I mean when I say that I started to question how real like what the reality of racism. Because for me, because of how I look at myself and who I am, like can't shit stop me. You're gonna have to kill me. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, you saying the same words I say, bro. Right? Like I'm with you 100%. Like I've had this
Yeah.
conversation like you and I told my guy, the difference between me and you is you have to kill me to stop me. A motherfucker can stop you by throwing some bullshit at you.
That's one. So, because here's the thing: by me saying that white people, let's just say racism is as real as we can imagine it to be. By me saying that the reason why I can't succeed the way I want to is because of these people, then I'm saying that these people are stronger than me inherently. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
No, I'm not saying I'm anything above human. What I'm saying is I'm right at that. You ain't no more human than I am. You know what I
Bro,
mean? But
I,
so
I'm with you.
what?
I mean, there are people who are above me. They're above me because they've done more than me. They're not above me because of their skin color. They're not above me because this, that, or this other characteristic. They put in more work than me, or they were smarter with the work they put in.
Yeah,
Whichever way you want to go with it,
whatever that. But and so it's like, but
they earned it.
if we measure it just solely based off of what these narratives that we've been fed, then that's what I'm saying. I don't think that we think much of ourselves. Like if we sitting on the internet arguing about, man, why they when it's one of us, when it's our such and such our heroes and this and that, then they just drag them through the mud. But when it's there, like, bro,
Your
that
hero's supposed
sounds
to be
like some
your dad, your mom, your
you see
uncle,
what
your sister,
exactly?
right?
Why? That's
That's who
some
your
weak
hero's
ass
supposed to
shit.
be.
That's some weak ass
It
shit.
is, bro.
Like,
We
nigga,
are
what?
struggling, and I think we have an extreme lack of masculinity in our men
Yeah,
because our fathers didn't do their job,
yeah, right.
right? I saw something, bro, and I don't remember where. Somewhere on a Facebook page, it said weak fathers create masculine women and feminine men. And this was I seen it a couple years ago, and I was like, I don't get that shit. But
Okay.
once I sat back and thought about it, I'm like, I can't necessarily disagree
No,
because if you're a
yeah,
strong father figure, I'm not saying you got to be some big strong. I'm talking about the role you play in your home, right? They're going to pick up on that because if you have the traditional style home,
yeah,
the mother is going to be having that kind of that feminine role.
yeah, yeah. It's understood.
It's
It,
understood,
it's
right?
understood.
I'll give
Who?
a prime example today. I'm I had to watch my grandson for a little bit. My wife normally keeps up with my grandson all day. She's like, "Hey, I got a doctor's appointment. No big deal." My daughter called her, text her, "Hey, you think dad's okay with the like?" I know how to watch the baby, but just typically thinking that's she was raised and saw mom doing the mom shit.
Yeah.
I'm fully capable, just like my wife is fully capable for doing most of the shit I do,
Hmm.
right? And I say most because there's some shit that I just don't. I'll never put in that position, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the normal family shit, right? And I think we don't really think about the impact that it has on people. And the more you're out of the home, the more impactful it is as a man. For whatever reason you are. It could be the mom not letting you come through, right? I'm not saying who's at fault. It could be the dad for deciding he don't want to be there, whatever the case, whatever the reason don't matter. The more you are out of the home and not active in the kid's life, the bigger impact it has, right? Because no matter what you do as a father, no matter how much better you try to be than your father, all your kids know is their father. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you could be like, my dad was gone for 20 years out of my life. I was there for 15 years. He don't see that. They see the 5 years he was gone,
Yeah.
right? And I think we've lost the, especially today, bro. I think we go back and forth with women and we try to match their energy. Like when I hear men say, "Oh, I'm just matching the energy," man, I'm like, bro, that's the most feminine shit in the world, bro.
Yeah.
I'm a old. I know you hate when I say I'm old. I'm old. When I remember going to the barbershop to get your hair cut off, this motherfucker's going to the barbershop now, come out with more hair. That's not what that's weird to me.
Oh yeah, yeah. So hey,
That's some weird shit to
let's
me.
the we ain't gonna spend a lot of time on it obviously, but the old thing. This is what it is. This is what I'm hearing when you say that. I'm hearing that you're traditional.
I'm traditional. Men
You're
don't wear makeup.
conservative, and right. And I'm saying in that regard, yeah, I'm old as fuck too, because I believe like I do. I still like. Of course, I know that a woman can pump gas, right? And
No
there will,
doubt.
and there are times, depending on how the situation goes, that my lady can pump her gas while I'm around, right? There are these times, right?
Rare shit.
But for the most part, I'm gonna get out and pump the gas.
That's what you're supposed to do.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's just that just
Bro,
you know.
today's a prime example, right? We get ready to leave, right? Today, my wife and I, right? We drive each other's cars, but we kind of have our preferred car because we both have a car. My daughter's parked behind mine. I'm like, shit. My wife's like, well, I'll drive you because and she drives her car because that's where the car seat is, and we don't move the seat around because push for. My wife's like, babe, I'm gonna pay for lunch. Let me open your door, bro. That shit felt so good. Right? She opened my door. I got in the car. She closed it. Then she took me to lunch and she paid. I said, God damn, I understand. Right? This shit feels good.
Yeah, and
Right?
you know what it does is it's motivating, right?
Right,
That's
right.
the reason why we would do as a man. I do these things to motivate you to serve me. You know what I mean? It's that's just and this and I'm like and I'm good at it. So for me, I don't understand what the fuss is about. We started arguing about like I hate the conversation about 50-50, right? I hate that conversation, right? Because for me, it's just natural in me. Like I understand that everybody needs to contribute. I understand that we're well past the women's rights in terms of their right to work and all these
I
things.
mean, bro, if she stay home, you probably can't make it. We should keep it real. Like that's the reality of America today.
So, but I'm saying like ultimately though, I want to be in the lead in that space.
That's
You
your
know,
role.
that's just where I want
And
to be. And
if you're not there, you pick the wrong woman,
that's what
right?
I'm because what woman? Because yeah, any
Or
woman
you
that.
pick the right woman and you fucked up somewhere.
But like, no, I think you're right when you say you picked the
Oh,
wrong
you
woman
picked the wrong woman, right?
because when a healthy woman wants her man to lead in that way. She know, you know what I mean?
When I have that discussion with chicks, oh, it's 50-50. I'm like, if you hear a noise, who's going now?
It's
Right?
never right.
Listen, I heard a motherfucker say, bro, I'm going to the front door when I hear noise. I'm sending her to the back so she can get out. Right? There's no woman that I've ever heard of, and no man should allow her to do so. But there's no woman I've ever met who was like, if a shooting started, I'm gonna lay on top of you. Right? Like that's not gonna happen.
Bro, I
Right?
naturally just protect women. Like it ain't even gotta be like I naturally
Right.
just
It's,
protect
it's
women.
natural, but unfortunately, we live in the country we live in, so we have these conversations in our house. Hey, listen, some shit happened. I cover you. You cover the kids, right? And it's just me and you. I got you. Like the goal is for you to be okay. My job is to take whatever negativity comes, physical, verbal, doesn't matter. That's my job. I absorb the bullshit to protect the family.
Yeah. So
That's what a man is
once
supposed to do.
again, I don't think that we think much of ourselves. And the fact that we don't think much of ourselves, we couldn't possibly love and value and cherish our children, which is why we allow them to we just feed them to the wolves. We allow them to be miseducated, misled, just influenced by by demonic energy, right? Like if we really I look at it like this. If we really cared at the bare minimum we would protect our children from perversion
Hundred
at the
percent.
bare minimum, right? But yet we're on the internet arguing about whether or not this individual is a hero to the culture, and we know for a fact this individual has profited off of perversion, and you know what I mean, and
Right.
did not like
I mean, there's nothing about that motherfucker that's heroic. Like,
that's
just
what.
keep it
So
all the way a buck, bro.
and that's just him, right? But I'm saying,
It's a,
like, cause I can get okay, I can separate, being an athlete, right? Because being an athlete
that's different.
is different in terms of like there isn't much. They don't market or they don't profit off of perversion.
But I mean, even being an athlete, there's value in you saying to kids, "Hey, stay out of trouble as a youth, right? Because in order to be this, you have to live
The
right to a certain
the
extent,
path. Yeah, the path. And
right?
and to be a healthy, a successful athlete, you need to be educated a certain way too, right? So
Right.
it's and it's a certain level of discipline. It's just certain tools and things that come with being successful in that space. So, I'm okay with that.
Hey, hold on, real quick. Somebody jumped in and asked us a topic. We were talking about lack of accountability in our culture. We were talking about weak leadership in our culture, and we were talking about not protecting the youth, right? Because those are things in our culture that we're not doing properly.
Yeah. So it's like, but we know for a fact, we know that like we'll say shit like, well, hey, if you don't, instead of complaining about it, if you just don't listen to it, okay, that is impractical when we
Right? I'm
know,
gonna hear that bullshit.
come on, man, and I'm like, it ain't about not listening to it, it's about knowing what to do with it,
Right? Responding properly,
right?
right?
Because so-called white children are influenced by rap culture as well, right? But they know what to do with it. They know how to compartmentalize it, because they are properly led.
I mean but that comes from that's a father's role,
Right.
right? And I know there are a lot of dudes today are like, hey, listen, all these chicks having babies by the wrong motherfuckers, and I don't disagree. It's a lot of chicks having babies by the wrong the wrong people. I mean, I know a lot of folks with a lot of baby mamas. I'm talking shits, double digits for some.
That shit's crazy to me. I'm like,
Oh, bro, the shit's insanity to me, right? Like, bro, I got a
that's really
cousin.
crazy to me
At least
still.
he had 12 baby mamas when I stopped counting, right? And I'm like,
Are they all like in the same city?
I mean, bro, don't leave South Bend, right? Like, if you
That's
was in LA or New York, I could be like, okay, they don't know each other,
that's
right?
crazy to me. Like, all
It's
right,
a
all right.
lifestyle, right? Cuz live a certain lifestyle that I think a lot of women think, oh, this is the lifestyle I want to live and I can benefit from this, whatever. I don't know. But also in that lifestyle is a certain type of woman, right?
Right. That's what.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, but
Okay.
you can't get any woman outside of specific lifestyles depending on how you live,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
I mean, you have, anyway. So,
yeah. Go ahead.
no, bro, I don't even, like, shit's crazy.
So
Shit's crazy. But
how
we
do
need
we?
to be better leaders, bro. We got to stop letting entertainment dictate what we do. And you know, bro, Rich Homie Quan, I used to fuck with his music, but I seen people, oh man, we got to stop selling bad drugs. Oh,
Okay,
we got to stop doing illegal fucking drugs, bro.
look. Okay, that's a. Let's stay in that pocket for a minute.
All right,
Okay, so why do you think we are so obsessed with and intoxicated with entertainment in that way to where we are absorbed, we absorb the grief that people that
I
don't
don't know
even
because I don't I can't understand. I don't vibe with that. Like I'm like motherfuckers die every day, b. Like there's nothing
right,
special about him.
yeah, right. It's
The
nothing,
difference is I don't know him versus the other people I know. So for me,
and that
I don't understand.
I
I
think
don't.
that speaks to what I mean when I say that we is what we allow media to do to us is very different than anything I've ever seen with any culture in my entire life. And I honestly think that we need to. This is why I want to promote being, a scientist, right? Because I think that we need to breed some healthy children into being, scientists that are okay with dedicating a portion of their existence here with really examining, collecting the right data and examining black culture from a really cerebral position and perspective, and really create functional behavior plans for the culture, because we are a different type of species, man. Like where we're at now collectively, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like we or that version of us. I'm not saying all of us,
Right,
but I'm
right.
saying that version.
No, I'm with
Like
you. I'm with you.
we need to be examined and really look at this over a period of time. That's the only way that we're gonna be able to pull ourselves, or deviate from where we're at, because I think we sick in a lot of ways.
We have. I don't know, bro. Our culture is competing between men and women. Men are trying to. I mean, like women are trying to be men, and I'm not talking no trans shit. I'm just talking the mental. Men are trying to be women. Women are trying to be men. What I mean by that is, and I won't even say trying. Men are extra emotional right now, right? The term, and I get mad at this. I hear dudes say, "Oh, they trying to shame us." Like, bro, I grew up with sticks and stones. That break my bones. Words ain't gonna fuck with me. Don't get me wrong, it has an impact, but I wasn't gonna let it get to me. If you ain't physically fucking with me, I can overcome whatever you're trying to do.
But that right there, like, we can't do that as black men collectively, right? I'm not saying over, like, a lot of us understand that. A lot of us ain't never let words really fuck with us
It's a
like that.
different breed of us today,
Oh,
bro.
and I know. So
As there wasn't enough fathers to strengthen those men to let them understand that rejection sucks, but it's a part of life for a man,
right. But
right?
these men make a lot of children too.
No doubt, but they're not raising them, right? And so
But
so
even but
that
even, but even if they raising them with the lack of emotional intelligence.
no doubt, no doubt. I'm with you on that one.
Like I know men that are functioning out here in society at a high economic level, but are extremely emotional. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
no doubt.
that's
The money don't matter, bro. The
right.
money's not the situation.
This is who these entertainers become, though. When we talk about a person and I don't know, I don't even want to say his name because I don't really.
Well, it's okay. Well,
Right.
it don't
But
matter.
when we talk about our so-called icons that are the epitome of what success is supposed to look like. These A lot of these individuals were raised with everything
Listen,
except emotional intelligence, and they
I am a
become.
huge fan of LeBron James. I can't tell you nothing about his daddy.
But you see the narrative though. The narrative is literally. I feel like the narrative is they love the fact that he's come from poverty and he
Raised
had
by a single mother,
raised by a single mother. Like, bro, and then you know what that does? He didn't even
encourages.
look at. Think about Shaq's narrative. Shaq's daddy he made a whole song about how stepdaddy came and say, like, nigga, that shit was so corny to me. Like, you know what that like what, and this big ass nigga is one of one of the weakest men I know emotionally. Like, I it just it nothing. It's just so corny to me because he even admits that his biological father tried to come back into the picture, and he rejected him. But you know what type of programming it takes for a boy to reject his
Bro,
father.
I've never heard that, right? Like, and that's it's interesting you say that because one of the things I harp on, right? Again, I'm harder on men than women, but I harp on the stepfather thing is probably not an ideal position for a man because every young boy wants his father, and you can do everything right, and the day pops show up, typically it's like, hey, that's my dad, or you get mad and you're like, hey, you're not my dad, and no disrespect to the kid because they're not wrong, right? But I ain't never heard that. So that's interesting because
Oh,
I
he
typically dudes are like, "Thank you, step pops," but my dad here now. I know you
yeah.
put in the 22 years, right?
Or I still, even if you're gonna be fair, I honor you, but I'm still gonna embrace my
Right.
father, right?
You are not this person,
That's
and
because that's
that's only the
fact.
truth.
That's right. We shouldn't be mad at that.
But
You
people
know
get
what?
mad at that, bro.
So our next, I want to put a bookmark by this conversation. I want our next session to be about that.
104. Let me note
And
that shit real quick.
and that we talk about all the time. I think that we do need to talk about having a standard of black men saying, "Hey, we ain't no stepdads." We need to have a conversation about that.
So
We
so let's talk about it. Fuck it, right?
no,
So, but
I want to dedicate a
we're gonna
whole.
dedicate a whole one to it. But I don't disagree, right? I knew at a very young age that wasn't for me. And people think, oh man, you got lucky. No, I didn't get lucky, bro. I chose not to do that shit. There was no question about it. I had zero kids, zero girlfriends when I decided that shit wasn't for me, right? And I never not told everybody the fucking truth. Like that shit is not for me. And here's
I
for
don't
me, it
think
was.
anybody though. Why do we
But
do it?
I think for a certain segment of people, if you create these kids that need stepfathers because you're not doing your part, you really don't get to say stepfathers are unnecessary. If you're doing your part as a father, yes, stepfathers are unnecessary. Not saying your ex can't have a relationship. The stepfather role, the step in father, let me call it that, right? The step in father role is not necessary if you're doing your shit. Um, but I think, unfortunately, in our culture, we've created a lot of homes where fathers are not participating. Some of it is at the behest of the mom, right? But there are guys who listen. I keep it a buck. I've had this conversation with two homies. One you know, one you don't. There is nothing on this earth that would keep me from my kids. I would have to be homeless with no more money for a lawyer for me to stop trying to achieve access to my children. You can hate my fucking guts as a kid. I don't give a shit. That is not my concern. My concern is to make sure I provide a decent life for you.
That's why I made the mistake at that. What you just said, right? And I'm realizing that more now than ever. Like, a lot of the decisions that I made or did not make in my pursuit to be a father to my sons, amidst the disconnect between their mom and I, was that I found myself torn in between, like, how my son would look at me if he sees certain things happen a certain way, if he sees me act a certain way, right? And the where I stand today, I realized that, or I feel like I should have just did what I knew was going to benefit him and had the conversation with him later, right? Because I
Yeah.
do it all. I'm doing it already. You
You
know what
having
I'm saying?
you gonna have that conversation sooner or later anyway.
Right? And so, because in a lot of ways, that subconsciously taught them submission as a man. You know what I mean? Or taught them, like because yeah. That's why this.
I mean,
That's why.
I've done a lot of wrong shit as a father, right? I'm not gonna pretend I was perfect by any means,
But if you're
right?
accountable, but if your son see you
Right.
as
Listen,
accountable,
I broke rules when I thought I had no other options, and in reality, I had other options. And I'm going to go ahead and a step further. Say I knew it. I didn't want to put the effort in that required me to get those options to be, what I'm saying, beneficial or financially fruitful. And I've said to my kids, my job, and I love my kids to death. I've told them, I don't care if you love me. I don't care if you like me. I need you to respect me and love your mom, right? My job is to make sure you have a house to be mad at me in. You have food to not want to eat, right? You have clothes that you don't like, right? If you're like, I don't want to wear this. My job is to make sure you have those options, right? And I believe, and I've believed my entire life, and it comes to fruition as you get older, your kids will grow to really understand what you did as they get older, right? I don't want to be your friend, right? I want to be friendly with you. Let me clarify. I don't want to be an asshole to my kids, but I don't want to be your friend. I need you to understand that my job is the hard part of this fucking family. To make sure that you don't have to see the shit I go through for you to eat. You just got to know when it's time to eat, mom's got something on the table.
yeah,
And it ain't always going to be steak. You know what I'm saying? And I think for a lot of us, we want to be friends with our kids. We want to impress our children, right? And
we
and
we
and try
get
to. I mean, like it's. Don't get me wrong. I've seen some people, man, and I'll be like, man, I'm jealous of that relationship between that father and that son, or that father and that daughter, right? But I'm like, how did they get there? I think a lot of it is friendship shit and didn't play the tough role.
now it's context to all that shit,
It is,
but
bro. I've heard. My son is 29. I'm not sure I heard my son cuss yet, right? I heard my daughter cuss, and she didn't know I was there, right? But I go around and I look at other people. I'm like, man, y'all just cussing up a storm in front of y'all parents because y'all on some friendship shit, right? I'm not saying you can't speak as an adult, but like it's a respect thing. I wouldn't be mad at my kids at all if we have a conversation there using adult language. They're fucking adults, right? But it's a respect thing,
yeah,
right? And I think if you don't have that, it's difficult, and it's hard to have that as a stepfather because right, you can say. Let me take a step back. I remember going with my parents down to my grandmother's house, and I was an asshole at my grandma's house because grandma said, "Can't nobody touch me," right? So I knew how bad I was at my grandmama's house. I couldn't imagine saying to some kid that I put my all into saying, "It don't matter. You're not my daddy. You can't whoop me," right? And I'm not saying you have to whoop your children by any means. I'm using that as an example of saying to somebody, "Listen, I know I can behave however I want because you can't do shit."
it's out of order, and that's what. So, bro,
But they're not wrong.
you're right. So that's why I'm saying, just think about put this in perspective, or try to rather. What type of adult pursues a friendship with a child in that way?
None really.
Like what? Like you have to be unhealthy as fuck to want to be friends with a child in that way. You know what I mean? Like
I'm with you.
we like having a fun relationship that don't make us friends, right? It's a hierarchy. This is how this shit works. That's why children, we come in the world the way that we come, in the world. It's a hierarchy. So my son, I have a 26-year-old, right? He's, strong, healthy, right? And if on a general in a general on a general level, on, I guess, let's say on paper rather, he would look superior to me, right? But ain't no way.
Right, because
He can't.
that's
He can't.
that's the hierarchy, bro.
He
Like
can't fuck with me. He can't fuck with, like, it's not. It's just because you know what I know. The superiority is in the hierarchy. I've been here longer than him, right? He
right.
can't. I
And you've
know.
been him.
I've been him. So I say he ain't never been me. So
Right,
and
right.
we've had this conversation. And one thing I say about my son, like he respects it, right? When we talk about when we banter like that, I said, you gonna be too busy trying to prove something to me, right? If we were to ever go head to head, I'm already in the space of everything that I need to do to defeat you. You know what I'm saying? Like you have rules in your head. I don't.
Right.
When you break the rules, all bets are off. You don't even understand that yet because you're not at that point of life. You know what
Right.
I mean? So that's why I'm like, like your mind is the strongest muscle anyway. Because I know that it don't matter. Even mano with any man. It don't all that shit don't what can happen or what's possible or what's likely don't matter. All that matters is the timing of it.
100%.
You know
You
what I'm
have to
saying?
know, right? And I think that's something you learn as a man, right? Most of us learn certain skill sets. But again, going back, I think today we have, and I'm gonna go under 40. We have a lot of under 40 minutes way too feminine. And what I mean, I don't mean, you know what I'm saying, like the type of person they date or the behavior, their mannerism. I mean, it's the emotional
Yeah.
response,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
right? Well, like I've had a conversation with a motherfucker and I'm just being truthful. Oh, you attacking me? I'm not attacking you, bro. This is the shit you already know. I'm only saying it back to you for you to acknowledge this shit is real.
Accountability. I'm only trying to hold you accountable.
Accountability.
Right.
It's the same motherfuckers that constantly talk about women need to be accountable
And
or keep the same energy. I tell my guy, stop telling two things I don't want to hear from no man. Keep the same energy and they trying to shame you. Get the fuck out of here. Bro, you gotta, like, again, old school men, you had to break your fucking back at work. Do I care what somebody say on the internet? I can log off and the shit is gone. Right? It's gone to me. Right?
that's why I got a problem with the fact that women quit giving niggas children before you know whether or not they own that frequency. You know what
I'm
I
with you.
mean?
But I
Like,
think some of these motherfuckers is here's I think what the problem is. And this is probably gonna sound fucked. There are specific women that are made to be concubines.
yeah,
They're not made
100%.
to be wives. They're not
100.
made to be baby mamas, right? But they're becoming, like, if you are just reckless with your shit, you probably shouldn't be having kids.
You know what? But weak men make these women mothers.
I I was a fan of being hard on a chick with 3, 4 baby daddies, and I still am. But I gotta be harder on baby daddies number 3 and 4.
Yeah,
Like, bro, what the fuck are you thinking?
yeah.
I mean, I will give a slight advantage to a woman who has a kid with a man who has 5 or 6 because you don't see him. But it's a high probability if you are baby daddy number 3, baby daddy number 4, you're looking at the other 2, 3 kids.
Here's my thing. As a woman, I'm only speaking logically because I couldn't know because I'm not a woman. But logically speaking, it is a woman, if she got a kid or multiple kids by multiple men, it is in her best interest to allow another man.
Man, one that's gonna handle shit right.
I mean, I'm right. I'm saying
Common
like,
sense shit.
yeah,
Survival mode.
like that's in
Right?
her best interest. So it's like I can't put that on. My thing is what I put on women is, hey,
How'd you get there?
learn, like at least learn from the previous mistake and do better. Like, you know what I'm saying?
You know me, I'm giving everybody one. I know you don't necessarily
Oh,
agree.
but as
I'm
a
giving everybody
man,
one.
like nigga, like how what was logic? Even myself, there was definitely a absence of logical thinking, and I think in myself and any man who chooses, knowing full well there are multiple women out here without any children, I'm going to choose one with children.
Bro,
Like that.
I've caught shit my whole life, right? So I have my oldest brother is 10 years older than me. He had a baby by a chick. It wasn't his wife first, right? Different baby mama. He got married, had a baby with the second one, right? My other brother had some babies with chicks that wasn't his wife. He had a baby with a chick that was, right? My brother above me,
Did they already have children though? The chicks?
the first one, no, in both situations, right? They were the first to have kids,
Okay. Okay.
but they had multiple. I think with the second set of kids, for my second brother, she already had kids.
That's what I was trying to figure out. She
Right. And
already
then
had.
for my other brother, you know what the fuck he was thinking. She already had like 3 or 4 baby daddies.
That's what I'm talking about. What did
Right.
you ever ask him?
No, this shit didn't make sense to me, bro, because everybody around me was having babies with motherfuckers they didn't want to be with. I felt weird as shit. Like, what the fuck? Nobody, I can't relate. I've never felt so out of place for regular shit in my life. I didn't know it was regular shit then, bro. Everybody around me, again, bro, I knocked my wife up. I remember sitting in my motherfucking math class senior year, and I went to my boy, and I'm in real tears. I'm like, bro, my girl's pregnant. Now, there was no accident. I knew exactly what I was doing, right? I'm keeping it a buck. I know how to make a baby. I was not unaware of how to make children because there was times when
What was the thing? What made you emotional about it if you knew what you
because I was aware of my actions, but I thought I was Superman and it can't happen to me. And I told my homie and my guy just, bro, I ain't never been laughed at that hard in my life. The shit is hilarious to me now. But shortly thereafter, my guy had, now I think he got 6 or 7 by 6 or 7. Right? He had 2 in the hospital at the same time having baby. Bro told me this. Right. And I'm like, that shit is weird to me. Right? It's always been weird to me and everybody around me, bro. Like if I look at my circle, excluding my homies that don't have children, because I got some homies that don't have children. Everybody's got children, family members, the shit damn near. Well, I take that back. This is gonna be fucked up, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I look around, the people around me, most of them have kids by multiple people. I got a nephew who only has kids by his wife. I got a cousin who only has kids. A couple cousins only have kids by their wife. The younger generation, shit's all interracial, which is weird to me. That's the shit I'm saying is fucked up. The interracial relationship in my family is the ones that don't have kids by nobody else, which is crazy. I don't get it. I don't know what the fuck it is. I got a cousin. I got 2 cousins. Same parents. Parents been married forever. Both black. One son, 4, 5 baby mamas. Never married. All of them sisters. Another cousin. 1 baby, 1 on the way. All by his wife. Right? It's just weird shit to me. Right? But I've been surrounded. So I only added this shit because it's something stands out. Something's different.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's why I
think it's the culture where they came from. Right? The culture where they came from is the difference. Right? The family.
But what's different? What's different about it?
I think the difference is this is how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be married when you have. Don't mean it's gonna work. Don't mean it's gonna stay long term. Because to be completely fair, both of those wives' parents are divorced, but they started off married before when the children was born.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference. I don't know why that is the case.
I don't expect us to be perfect in that way because nobody is. I'm literally talking about the intent. Like we procreate without intent. Like we don't even intend on.
No, I don't. I think here's the thing. I don't think we faced enough consequence. So
How?
the action.
What has to happen at this point? What has not happened?
Bro, let's keep it a buck. Right? You can knock a chick up, and depending on the type of motherfucker you are, you may or may not have to pay child support, whether you see the kid or not. You may, if you pay, you might have to pay $53 a week. That's not a fucking consequence, bro. You've raised kids. Bro, if I could raise my kids on $53 a week, I'd be giving away Camrys to people just for the fuck of it. Right? Like you get a Camry, I feel like Oprah.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. What would have to happen on a large scale to where it could possibly stop us in our tracks and like, hey,
bro,
we got
the only thing I can see is you would literally and it would never happen. You would have to be cut off of government services. And I'm not talking welfare and food stamps. I'm talking fire, you know what I'm saying, medical. Like motherfuckers have to put.
So we would have to be penalized.
You would have to be penalized, bro.
Okay.
Or because I would say tax at a high ass rate, but a lot of cats in them situations they ain't get taxed at all. Right? So I mean, I don't know. There's no solution. The solution is to raise your daughter to the best ability you can to say, listen, learn the difference between a piece of shit man who can show you some good shit and a man who's actually good who can show you some good shit.
I think, okay, I'm just saying that it just seems logical that just if the requirement, if women said, hey, the only way for you to put a baby in me is to marry me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now, would you have...
That used to happen.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
I can tell you why I don't.
Why?
So that was the thing. right? You have to marry me to put a baby in. You have to work to get to the ass, right? Here's what happened. There's always been promiscuous women.
Right.
They were, and again, I'm not knocking. You know me. I believe in sexual liberty, right? But there's always, no matter how many years or decades or centuries you go back, there's always been promiscuous women. They
Okay.
used to not be the. They used to not be able to get a man.
Yep. So you're
Men
right.
will like, hey, listen. Oh, I bro, look, I remember way back. This is way back in the day. It was a chick, neighborhood little flipper. A bunch of cats went through her. They introduced one of the homies to her. He made her his girl.
Yep.
Right? So the problem, what happened was the chicks who let everybody smash could still get a man, which forced the
Yep.
other chicks to have to like, oh, damn, I got to compete. Because dude's like, well, I can take you out for 3, 4, 5 weeks spinning, or I can just Netflix and chill with this chick.
Yep. Yep. You're right. So we
Uh,
we go back to weak men raising weak
I
men.
mean, that's the bro.
That's
There's
it.
there's no listen. Oh, I don't give a fuck about nobody's politics. If I put a big ass wall up at the border, but I ain't got no sides, there's no value for anybody coming through the main
Yep.
door.
Yep.
Right? And so if women say you got to do this, this, and this to be with me, but a bunch of chicks is like, nah, and they getting dudes.
Yep.
I mean, it's crazy.
So that begs the point of like, so men need to also, in order for it to work, men need to also adopt the standard of
Practice dick
I'm
discipline.
just not gonna put no baby in a hole. You
It's
know what
dick
I'm saying?
discipline, bro. We refuse to practice it.
Yeah, you're right.
Right? It's. I mean, think about it.
Because
Right?
we were once perverted children. You know what I mean?
No,
That's,
no doubt, bro. And we had that conversation last week. Like, I mean, that's the reality, right? Shit is, we didn't. Most of us, or a lot of us, I won't say most because I can't speak to the number.
yeah.
A lot of us didn't have the optimal upbringing,
Yep.
and I'm not blaming parents. Our parents grew up. I think we were the first batch of latchkey kids, right? You know, the kids who have to go home and unlock the door because your parents are working.
What generation would you say that was?
Look, I graduated. So my high school graduation was '94, right? I would say my brothers that were 4 or 5 years older than me was really the first batch of latchkey kids.
So it's the 70s, the 70s.
Born in 70, born at 70, 71, 72, shit like that. That was
Okay.
the first generation of latchkey kids, right? So they're born 82, 84, they're teenage, 12, 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
They're going to school, coming home, getting their siblings, right? Because
Yeah.
mom's at work, dad's at work, crack hit the neighborhood, it was a lot of shit that happened. And I think that shit, reality is that changed a lot of shit, right?
Yeah.
It changed a lot of shit, man. And bro, and I know we're up against time here, so I'll wrap it up like this. I struggle because I see my grandson every day, right? Every day, my daughter, Monday through Friday, sometimes on the weekends, we're going to keep him Saturday night, right? Like, I was like, babe, I want to do something like, hey, that's good. This is my guy, right? I'm cool. We cool. I throw my plans out the window. I hang out with him all night. But I see him every day, damn near. I don't know what makes a man walk away from his own. That's not my son. That's my grandson. I couldn't imagine because I've never did it, bro. I've never, and I'm not talking y'all split up because that's reality. Shit happens. I'm talking y'all split up and you're like, fuck that. That whole side of my family tree. Like I don't know how that happens, right? I can't wrap my mind around it. I have very close relatives who've done that. So I'm not saying it doesn't exist in my family because it happens in my within my sibling tree, right? But I don't understand how you can walk away from your kid and just be like, he or she don't exist. Like that's the craziest shit in the world to me, bro. I try to justify, not even justify it because that's a lie. I try to make it make sense by saying, well, maybe they never met the kid. Right? That's the only way I can look at it and say it makes sense for you to be like, okay, this is my blood, my seed running around, but I don't care to see him. So I don't know, bro.
I mean, I can fathom it, but I can't come to terms with that construct because I mean, even me in my situation, there's a void there. I feel a way about it. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I understand as a man, I have absolutely no control over
But you
that.
still, it's That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a difference between can't. That's the difference between I can and I don't care to.
Right. That's yeah, and
Right.
yeah. You're right.
Like you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, bro, listen, man. I know we up against time here, but I want to keep doing this shit. But let's. I don't know if we want to get back to Sundays and Wednesdays or what you want to do, bro. But we let's definitely get it back jumping.
Yeah. Let's figure it out.
And I think next week is pure stepfather, bro. Or the next episode is 100%
Yeah,
stepfather.
we got to talk.
Because that's a whole conversation. I'm gonna reach out to a few people to see, because I really want to get some people
Yeah.
in, some people who've been stepfathers, and some people who aren't stepfathers, and some people who maybe was in that role and the shit went south.
Absolutely, 100%. Yep.
All right,
You got to.
peace out, y'all. Appreciate it.
100.